Among all the discourse that's happening about the Israel-Palestine conflict, there is a recurring theme that Israel is losing the PR war. And a big part of that is because a lot of young people, especially young Americans, are so overwhelmingly pro-Palestine. And a very interesting Zionist talking point is that many of us are pro-Palestine because we're uneducated. But in fact, ironically, many young Americans are pro-Palestine because we are very educated on Jewish history. See, if you were educated in the US like I was, you know that Jewish history has been a constant, all the way from reading Anne Frank in grade school to having classes dedicated to genocide and the Holocaust in high school. And it's because of that education that many of us are able to recognize what's going on in Palestine as a genocide. We recognize the Nakba as being ethnic cleansing and the mass displacement of Palestinian people, especially into strips like Gaza, because we learned about the mass displacement of Jewish people in Nazi Germany in the creation of ghettos. We recognize the white supremacist and propagandic language of the Israeli government because we were doing DBQs on Nazi propaganda posters. They use similar language like the children of darkness. We are dissatisfied with our government's and corporations' lack of acknowledgement and support and the hyper-securitization of the Palestinian people because we saw how the hyper-securitization of Jewish people led other countries to believing it was only an internal security issue within the country and that bystander effect was one of the reasons the Holocaust could happen and was sustained for so many years without outside influence. And even if we do not condone their actions, we can correctly understand and contextualize how groups like Hamas came into existence, having learned about the burgeoning of Jewish paramilitary groups and guerrilla fighters as a direct response of Nazi military action. We've already read the playbook, which is why we can see this conflict for what it is. But the big difference is that in our education, Jewish people were oppressed, whereas in this conflict, a Jewish ethno-state is the oppressor. It's a poignant example about the cyclical nature of oppression, that an oppressed group can one day become the oppressors themselves if they share the same supremacist nationalist attitude that their oppressors did. And that's really where we draw a difference between the Jewish community, especially the Orthodox Jewish community, and the Zionist community. Because Zionism is not a religious identity. It is a colonialist, imperialist movement that is fueled by the similar nationalist ideals that led to the burgeoning of the Nazi Party. Now, let me clarify, I am not equating Nazis and German people to Zionists and Jewish people. My point is that when a group is oppressed, they are inundated and conditioned with the oppressor's ideologies and belief systems. And so when they are seeking freedom or liberation from that oppressor, so often those same beliefs can grow in them like a parasite, and they contextualize liberation and freedom as becoming the oppressor instead of breaking the chain of oppression. So when that group then becomes the oppressor and they start forming similar ideologies and belief systems as their former oppressor, it just continues the cycle. But the difference is recognition. Because we have all been educated on this form of oppression before, we can see the cycle continuing in the Israel-Palestine conflict.